Alright, let's see if a valve adjustment and putting mud in it helped it at all. I'm not giving it much hope, but let's go see. Choke's on. Should go. Gotta rev her up a little bit. Let it warm up a little. It's not terrible, but I do think we need to kind of keep an eye out for another one. We can continue to build it. The thing is, we have to find another engine that's going to be the same as this. Put our fuel bottle in. There it is. Yeah, it's getting louder. Too bad. It would sound awesome if it wasn't making that noise. As far as the rest of it, it's purring. I pulled out too soon. I think that did it. I think she's done. Maybe not. Hey guys, and how's it going? Hey, we're going to continue on this little miniature dune buggy that we were in the process of building. Quick backstory, it was 3 different pieces put together. I got a fiberglass dune buggy shell at, I'm going to call it a Volkswagen property sale. I thought it was a cool shell, and then I went to a swap meet and we got the chassis. The chassis is kind of like a Yerf dog, and we were in the process of trying to marry the two of them together, plus an engine that was given to us by another friend who hooked us up with some other stuff in the past. He was at a recycle center and found this, I want to say it's like a 13 horse Honda knockoff engine, and we've been modifying it. We made an exhaust system for it, got rid of the original gas tank and original intake and carburetor, and put a motorcycle carburetor on it, and again made an intake manifold for it. And then on the last video we were running it, trying to, you know, spinning the back tires and all that, and as it was running, the more it ran, the more it started knocking. So the engine is I do believe going kaput. So that's got an issue. So I didn't know where to go. I was kind of hanging out for a little bit. Thanksgiving kind of came and went, and Harbor Freight had sales on their engines, and this is one of theirs that they have. It's actually even bigger. It's a 420. I think the engine that we were playing with was like a 340 or 370, something along those lines. So I think this one's like 13 to 15 horsepower. It may be what we fall back on. But this has electric start and a charging system, which would be nice. We'd be able to, you know, just go right from the panel and hit a button and have it fire up. Problem with it is where the electric start is, which is behind that white piece of foam right there. Has the electric start, and then the keypad is going to be in the way. We're real close to the firewall on the dune buggy right now, so this is going to be in the way. We'd have to do some modifications moving forward. After I had picked that up, a friend of mine, Kevin Bergeron, he runs a YouTube channel. He does like a lot with small motorcycles is his thing. A lot of Kawasaki's, I think, is his favorite. And he said, hey, I got this old pressure washer that has a Honda engine on it, which is kind of like the same scale as what we're using, the same kind of footprint. And if you want it, you can have it. This is all we know about it. We tried to fire it up at his house, it wouldn't run. But I think we'll try to get this one up and running. We have the Predator one up there as a backup if it doesn't. And I have another project that can get used for, so I'm not, too concerned about that. But let's go see if we can strip this one down, get it running, see how it looks for us. Possibly get it on the dune buggy, swapping the pieces that we made over to the other one. Hopefully that works out for us. And get that one spinning the rear axle again. And then possibly, I'm not sure where the video goes, but maybe we'll tear into that engine and see what blew up on it. All right, without further ado, let's get that up on the bench and start getting into getting this one to run. So while I was at his house, I was trying to start it, and it would not do so. Let's go give it another shot. That's full throttle. Choke. Gas is already on. That's choke on. The on-off switch is in the on position. We'll give it a kick. Good. She lives. That was easy. Yeah, we were out there, yanked it a bunch of times. We weren't getting anything. Possibly could have flooded it. So let's start stripping off some of the goodies that are on here. Let's get the pump out of our way and see what the input shaft looks like. And hopefully it's gonna work for us. I'm trying to think of a fancy word. Conducive? Let's go with that. I think it has a hole, looks like, for the set screw that's up in the top of it. Can we get this handlebar out of our way? I'm going to get this out of our way. We'll take a peek down the center of that, and we'll get these 4 bolts off so you can get that pump out of our way, and it's what we have for an input shaft, output shaft. Maybe actually cut this up for our front bumper. Let's be about the right width. Need a back one too. It looks like whatever it used for a set screw is missing. It's not even there. I don't know if it fell out or just was never anything in there. Let's go take those 4 bolts off and we'll see what happens. The chances that's just gonna wiggle right off of there. Pretty good. Nice. You think that is a 1-inch shaft? You think it's the same? Let's go measure that up. It might be. Looks a little smaller than what was on the other one. There it is. It's like 1. It's 1 inch. Good, because I think that's what the clutch is that we have over there. Let's get some of the junk off of it. We'll get rid of the gas tank. We'll get rid of the muffler and the carburetor set. Let's get all this stuff off of here and whittle it down to the size of the engine that we need. Yeah, this one's at 270 cc's, which I think comes out to like, what is that, 9 or 10 horse? It's still plenty for what we're trying to make. Let's get the exhaust system off next. They look like they just want to fall right off. Huh? Sometimes it surprises you though. Most of the time it doesn't. Sometimes it does. Let's go. Well, look at that. 2 for 2. All right. Might have another bracket holding it. Nope. Oh yeah, right there, the little tiny one. You didn't say nothing. You watched me struggle with it. That would do it. Now we're in. Whittling her down. Let's I'm gonna unbolt it from the chassis of it, and we'll put it. I'll get another cart. We'll put it next to it, and then we'll bring the chassis up. We'll put the 2 engines next to each other, just making sure we're apples to apples. Think it sat out in the rain a little bit. I flipped it around its side. She's bleeding black water. I got them sitting next to each other, kind of eyeballing them. See if you see anything that looks a little different. See, the valve covers are different. This one's actually a little bit more shaved off on the back side of it. Yeah, everything's in the same locations. Hopefully the bore spread of the carburetor and the exhaust manifold look the same, and height of it. For some reason, to me, it just like looks a little smaller in general. Might be just an optical illusion. Plus that, the pole starts bright yellow on that one. Maybe it's giving it that look of a little bit larger. Only one way to find out. Let's get that one unbolted. We'll shove this system up on there, and we'll just see if everything kind of lines up. And what do we got? Space between the clutch and the sprocket is roughly 2 fingers. So we'll see if that kind of maintains itself. Yeah. Might be just an optical illusion. Out with the old. Yeah. And in with the new. See if our bolt pattern. The base of the engine is smaller, but I don't think it matters to us. I thought it looked a little off on scale. You can see where I marked it off before, where I carved and marked off where the block was. The other block came out to here, but it seems like the holes might still be okay. Let's go get that clutch on there and see if we get that clearance. It looks like it's sitting lower, doesn't it? You saw the same distance? We said 2 fingers before, right? It's low. It's sitting lower a little. It actually might work out for us because who knows, we're gonna have for chain adjustment, but the engine was having a little bit of problem kind of clearing the fiberglass that was around there. So maybe this one, it bolts down and everything kind of lines up and might just suit us fairly decent. I'm gonna take a little time. I'm gonna throw some bolts in it and try to lock everything down a little bit, and we'll see what we got. We'll throw the muffler back on it and the carburetor from the other one, and we'll see how she does. I don't see anything standing out right away saying no go. The fiberglass shell, I think I'll just clear that. Gotta get rid of that switch. Did we grind something off the other engine? I thought we ground something off that had a clearance issue. Yeah, that nub right there. Do we have that on this one? So wherever that round starter boss would be, yeah, that we ground that off right there. Let's get her bolted up and see how she looks. Yeah, I think that other engine sat a little wider too, because I have the clutch, and we got about a good inch that the shaft is in. We could lock it down to that, but it's looking like, as far as playing the chain too, should be alright. Should be able to do the same we did before with the washer, shimmy it up. I'm going to take the clutch, flip it around, and see if we can line up with the sprocket. If not, I can probably kick this in more, and the sprocket's movable on the axle too. We can kind of walk it and dial the 2 of them in. Let me go play with that a little bit. Just want to show the difference. We'll leave it flush. Maybe I'll get away with just right where it is. Like that. He's bailing. He stopped. He saw, you know, we're watching him. Okay, make a run for it. Didn't even show up. There he goes. He's repelling now. I'm out of here. Don't blame him. Okay, get rid of all the studs that were in there. You got bolts going back in. Same thing on the carburetor. We got to get those out also. It's easy to put up as much of a fight. The other ones were a pain in the ass. Honda quality. Right there. Yeah, bolted the muffler on, and you can see something's definitely skinnier because here's the old mount for the engine. We got about a half-inch gap in between there. So I don't know if the muffler, yeah, you know what, you can even see it too, because like where I made the tailpipe tips, you're centering it over that. They are no longer in the middle. But if I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't know. You might be able to make maybe a shim up inside here, kind of kick it over just a hair. All right, let's get that carburetor on. That's the one, the more important one. See if it bolts up to that flange. Moment of truth. Man, the ID's so much smaller. Get rid of the O-ring because the other one had different manifold. Come on. All right. Let's that gasket can get opened up. That doesn't even match the bore size of that. Let's go just kind of. Wonder if we could steal from something to make it. Yeah, that and that are definitely not the same size. Let's get the one off the other engine, see if it's got a little bit better, less restriction. There's that one. Should put them side by side. Yeah. Two different throats that are on it. That one wants out of here. So let's go with that, if it fits. The gasket is too small. I'm gonna go open that up. You know what, let's throw it together with the other one that was on there, the original one, and we'll see how it runs, and then we'll kind of get back to this later, because it's easier to not have to put the material back on. We're making a new gasket because we opened it up. All right, we got her buttoned up decently. I ended up moving the sprocket over. I think I had to go that way, about 1/8 of an inch or so, 1/4 inch, not far. And that's flush. The clutch is on flush with the crank. Yeah, other than, you know, the exhaust we see on an angle. Intake seemed like it is okay so far. And the only thing other is the pull start. The index of the pull start's kind of going this way. We're going to need it to go out that way, but that's no big deal. I think we're alright. I got a screwdriver in my pocket to tweak it a little bit, and our fuel is filled up to right at the tape. And we have another fuel bottle ready to have it rock and roll. So let's go give her some enrichment. I think that's on right there. I'm not sure. Let's give her a couple of yanks, see how she fires up. Fire comes shooting out of it. Got a Red Bull on the high side there. Let's choke it again. I was gonna try dialing it in. Sounds much better. Sounds pretty good, huh? We'll let it warm up a second and we'll start turning it down. See how low it'll idle. There's a decompression valve built in, so eventually if we slow it down enough, it's going to hit that decompression and die. You'll hear it. It'll make like a clanking noise. The other edge was puffing smoke out too real bad. Yeah, did you hear it go, the decompression kick in? Let's go give her, put you back in the stand. Sounds good. I like it. We're back to where we were. Without knocking. Might have used up all its gas. Let's go see. The other thing too, that intake might be a little on the long side. It might be causing some issues. Give it a little RPM. Just want to fart and kick back a little bit. That carb may be having some issues with it. I see it is overflowing, so I think the needle and seat keeps getting stuck. We had that. And that was a new carb too. We had that problem on the other one. Let me see it. That might be an issue. All right, so we know we're close enough. We got that part going. We may have to deal with a carb setup a little bit more, but we are back to functioning. The clutch and everything seems like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It stops when it stops and goes when it wants to go. And for adjustment, we have, I'm putting washers underneath the back of the engine, kind of kick it up a little bit, because we don't have any room to slide back and forth, because it's pretty much dead center over the axle. So moving it this way or that way is not going to do anything. Let's slide this to the side for a little bit, and let's go take that other engine. I want to dissect it and see what happened to it, and see if we can see what caused the failure. Again, we don't have any backstory on it. It was something in pretty much a free pile. And it seemed like it, now that I look back at it, it did seem a little noisy at first, and it was getting noisier. Let's go swap them around and go air out the shop a little bit, and we'll get the other engine up on the bench, and let's do a little dissection. So in the last video, we drained oil out of it, and I have that sitting behind me. Then we put this stuff in it, which was like a heavy weight. I want to say it was like a 50 weight that we put in there. Just to see if it will get any quieter. Let's go see what we get for Metallica. Yeah, not thick oil at all. We'll let that piss out, and it'll tilt it up on an angle. We'll see if we get any more metal bits out of it. Definitely looks better than the first stuff that came out so far. I'll bring it back. Probably should let it breathe, huh? Give it somewhere for air to come in. Make any difference? No. I'm gonna go tilt that, and we'll let it piss out. How about make it come out of both holes? Oh, the jokes. Yeah, she's looking a little funky down there. I know you can't see it. And I can't let go to make it look different. I'm going to drop the whole thing in the pan. Pan's going to flip up in the air. Oil everywhere. Yes, I've done it. You ever get all done with something and you didn't spill a drop, and you're walking back with the oil pan and you wipe out, or you put it to somewhere on the side and you clip it, and you knew you should have moved it to begin with? Anything else coming out of the bottom? No. Let's go do a side-by-side on the two of them. that was new oil that went in there. And it's definitely showing signs of the rainbow, plus the darkness of it. Again, that what it run. We ran it 5 minutes maybe. Alright, so this is the one that we initially changed the other day. And like I say, you wiggle around, you can kind of see the little metal bits, the color changing in it. And this is the one that we just did. And it's pretty much the same thing. So whatever's going on is going on. Sometimes I've even seen more than that. You know, some of the lawnmowers you take apart, man, it really gives you that aluminum rainbow. Let's go put those to the side and let's start getting that side cover off the engine. I got ourselves a nice little desk job. Let's go buzz the bolts out of the side cover. Actually. I don't know if I can't think of anything right now that would hold that on there. Go find out. Sounded good. Yeah. Let's go get ourselves a light and take a peek at what's going on. See if you can see anything. Well, I don't see anything jumping out right away. Let's go check the rod. I don't see any heat. She was clacking all right. So this is I believe a counterbalance shaft on this one. Just kind of takes out some of the shakiness. That might be able to pull right out of there. There we go. I don't see anything with that. That'll have a timing mark on it too. It just counters the shake that the single cylinder makes. I don't see. It's sludgy, but it's not. I would expect to see more metal on the bottom for the amount of noise it was making. This is the oil shutoff. This is like a float that's in here. If the oil level goes down too low, it goes to the side and has a wire that goes up right here, and it grounds out, essentially grounds out the coil and stops it from having spark and shuts it down before it can blow up. So that was in place. I wouldn't think that it ran low on oil for its issues. Let's I don't know if we can get it. Let's see if we can get a cap off of it. So we could turn it to where it's more. Get to the bolts. Probably take the spark plug out to make it easier. Has a dipper on it for oil. That's what this is down here. So it doesn't have an oil pump. It just uses a dipper, which kind of, see if the oil levels should be right about, where's the fill? The oil level is probably like right here. The gears are kicking oil up and spinning around, and this on the rod dips down into the oil and causes it to splash. Sometimes there's a hole in them, and the hole gets pressure fed with oil and fed up to the cap also. See how low it goes. Yeah. See how low that gets dipped into the oil. Let's was that like 10 millimeter? I don't know if it's got keepers on it or not. Let's go see if we can get a 10 millimeter wrench on those and crack that cap loose and see if we can take a look at the bearing. Could be on the upper side of it too. Or it could be a mystery. We'll grab a 10 millimeter. We'll try a wrench first. Okay, so you can see it a little bit. What if we can get away with getting the piston out through the bottom without taking the cylinder head off? if we can get that cam out and that crank out, it might have enough room to come out. So try to figure out what the smoke, all the smoke was from too, like what was causing that. I think of with the smoke is possibly, it was kind of open though. There's a breather on the valve cover. I was thinking like maybe the crankcase was building pressure and it was pushing oil by the rings. Because it looks really clean inside. Should we do one of those videos with what's left of it? We'll put it back together and leave it with no oil. See how long it can run for. Make bets. I would have to do it beforehand though, because you'd be able to tell. If the video is 20 minutes long, you would know it lasted like 18 minutes. Alright, so this is going to show us what's going on inside that cap. Kind of scoring or anything. Come on. There we go. What do we got? So there's no bearing, it's using the surface itself as a bearing. It does have like a weird choppy pattern to it. I did definitely expect to see worse than that. Let me go see, the crank doesn't feel terrible. Huh. Alright, can we get camshaft out of it? So the cam has the lifters. The valves are pushing on the lifters and causing drag on it. So up inside here, the valve cover's up here, and there's two connect push rods going down to lifters that are right behind here. Well, the valves have pressure, at least one of them has pressure on it, pushing on the lifter, which is pushing against the cam. Let's get the valve cover off, we'll back the rockers off and get that out of the way. We had adjusted the valves too, because we thought possibly there was some, like a valve train noise in it. All right, let's get them right off. That should get rid of that pressure we were talking about. If you see anything in here too. Funny if they had like a bent push rod or something. Looks alright. Smokey's on us. He's in hot pursuit. Yeah, that's alright. Let's get them out of there. Now that cam. The lifter still may fight us. I'm not sure where they are in their orientation. There we go. We're in. So when I was talking about a decompression valve, that's this right here. Right there. Actually, that's a little funky. Yeah, so it's got like a set of, you see, it's got a set of flyweights. As the camshaft spins, it allows this to get in and out of the way of holding the valve open longer. And it lets the compression be lower, so that when you're trying to pull start it, you're not trying to push through all the compression. And that's what's there. As soon as you rev it up, that comes out of the way and the compression goes to full pressure. That goes back down and hits. But the end of that looks a little funky to me. Doesn't that look like it's... Flip it around so this light gets it right. Doesn't that look a little weird to you? Like how the end is kind of rolled off like that? I'm not going to say that's it, but we'll keep that in mind. Let's get the lifters out of it. That looks okay. Let me get you a little closer. There you go. Yeah, anything with that. Shaft looks a little funky. the other one. As the exhaust is the intake. One's got kind of like a weird pattern, weird wear pattern, a little bit. Should be the same. I don't think there's any difference on them. All right, can we get that? If we can push that rod up, we'll be able to get that crank out of it. It goes up far enough out of our way. Yeah, might have enough room to get the crank right out of it. Oh, you know what? I got the flywheel on the other side yet. Jumping the gun a little bit, and possibly we might be able to pull the piston right down out of it. So let's get the we gotta get the flywheel off. Let's go spin it around. I gotta do a little de-gutting of it. Okay, get rid of the pull start. Get the rockers out of our way. Let's look at them real quick. I don't see anything standing out. Let's get that. We're gonna need a big impact gun to get that off. I'll take it back in a second. I'll get the cover off and we'll get into getting this flywheel off of here. You don't see anything that was hitting the coil. Gotta get a big ass socket. I'll throw that back on there. Gotta get a screwdriver behind it, put a little pressure on it, we'll give it a whack with a hammer. She should pop off on us. Go. Don't see anything falling apart on that, and I don't see any rub marks on anything. All right, let's go flip it back around. We're gonna go clean up the bench a little bit. We'll flip it back around. We'll take that crank out. All right. I don't see anything immediate. That looks pretty good. Right, see if we can get that. I don't know if we're going to have enough room to get it out of there, but we'll give it a shot. Let's go feel the rod first. Doesn't feel bad. The rings are stuck. That's kind of scored on that side. this top ring, I don't know if it's going to show up. There was 4 diagonal lines going across it right there, and then there's a bunch of scoring all through here. I pull out anymore, see if we see anything else funky. Yeah, just that one spot. I'll try to hold them in place so we'll get some of the oil off. Hopefully you can see. That would suck if I held that down too low. Let me get you a little closer to the action. Alright. Yeah, the only thing I see, again, is that scoring right there. Where do those marks on the rings go? Is that on the other side? Yeah, it's got some piston slap that was happening. Nothing terrible. I don't see those lines anymore. I don't know if I rotated the ring where it's it was my imagination. Oh. I saw like 4 distinct like chevron pattern lines on there. What else can we look at? The rod. That looks fine. Both clips in? They are. The wrist pin wasn't moving out. I am not seeing signs of a little too close. And the upper is showing some. Not terrible. I think we'll have to take the cylinder head off to look at the uppers. Anything else you want to look at while we're here? Take a peek inside. Let's go. The governor, look at that. So the governor works, it's got 3 flyweights on it. These 3 right here. Look kind of dirty. Inside of that looks pretty dirty, huh? And as I think it comes off of, what's it running off? The crank? Yeah, it's running off the gear of the crank. As the crank spins faster, these weights fling to the outside. If it goes to over rev, it pushes out the center. And then that is this lever right here, which is hooked up to the governor, and that just backs off the throttle. So you have input from the throttle here, whatever you want to set the RPM at by moving this lever, but it has a spring to kind of take up, give it flex. I don't know if that's the best word for it, and that's tied into the governor shaft. And then there's the metal rod that goes back to the carburetor. It's not on here now, and that goes it would be from up here directly to the throttle, and that would actually be what works the throttle. But if it's starting to go to over rev, so you pull real hard on it, you want full throttle, but this starts revving too high, and the little weights start coming out like that. It pushes it as it revs too high. It in turn pushes and turns the throttle back off some, no matter how much you're pushing it. It governs it from over revving. That's what its purpose is. See, it's doing its thing there. Although having some like weird like dirt pattern behind it, I don't see anything. So we can take it off of there. That's gonna fight us. I don't know if it's got a clip on the inside holding it or something. Again, we're still trying to find something that be making noise, you know, making the clacking that we saw. It's definitely not obvious yet. Let's get these. Let's look at the top of the piston. Was there anything like that went bouncing? I see a weird little nick right there. Imagine if it sucks something in and it's something that's just whacking on the top of the piston. Right? I think it would be more than that one little spot there, though. Let's get the cylinder head off. So we're going to take this sheet metal off the outside. I think we just have 4 bolts. It should allow us to take this whole thing right off of there. We pop you back in the stand and a little more dissection. Pop right off of there. Might need a whack. Forget anything? No. Looking pretty good. I don't see anything. Gonna sit that down there. Take a peek at that bore. I don't think I blew a head gasket or nothing either. Plus it was smoking too, was the other part of it. Alright. Definitely got a score going down that side over there. A little rusty too. I don't know if it sat for a while. I don't see any blowouts in the head gasket. I'm looking around. I see a little bit of something right here, but I don't think that's much of an issue. Some brake clean probably wouldn't hurt either. Yeah, the bore is all messed up. Hold on. Magnets are playing with us. Yeah, so it's kind of beat too. So I would say maybe the smoking was just stuff getting past the rings there because the bore is just so beat up. Okay, does this help us? Yeah. So I think, I don't know if water got in it or it sat for a long period of time. Something happened. Look at the big scratches that are right there too. Yeah, that's where it's kind of pushing oil, I would say. Is the camera getting it? That one right there. But the knocky kind of sound, I just don't see what will cause that clacking. Let's go take a look at that piston again and see if we can see. Unfortunately, I wiped those rings. I think they kind of rotated on us a little bit. There's like a really funky, rusty spot right there, which is weird. I wonder if something was just. Let's go look at that piston. Let's look at that cylinder head first. Let's just see if we see anything that's. It doesn't look like anything was dancing around inside there. Well, yeah, I was thinking like, you know, like a hunk of carbon or a little piece of metal, or because I think when we got this, the air cleaner, it didn't have an air cleaner on it. And you know, sometimes there's not much clearance between the top of the piston and the cylinder head. And if something does get on top, it'll make it hit every time. Where's the piston? What'd you do with it? And you see that little, that's the only thing I see is that little dot right there, but there's nothing, I don't see anything that's kind of countering that. Can we orientate it correctly? So this would be, gonna be the cylinder head like that. And the arrow faced down. So it would be the spark plug. The spark plug lines up right with that. Let's go look at the spark plug. Imagine you had the wrong plug in it and it was hitting. Wouldn't that be a kick in the ass? That's the plug. That would be roughly where that is. But I don't think that would have to be super long. I should look up the plug and see if that's the right part number on it. Let's go see how far it reaches. I don't think the piston goes up that far though. It does line up to where that would be. You know, it's just too far away. I don't know, maybe that's just like a little pre-ignition spot or something. You know, where it was kind of getting cleaned off from touching it. The plug gap isn't pushed down. And we don't know what happened to this thing before us. Yeah, that's weird. All right, well, I'm gonna, I think, contemplate a little bit. Like I said, I did see those. The marks on those rings. I don't know if I lost it or what. Or I mentally lost it. I'm gonna go clean this up real quick, and we'll see if there's anything we can see on here. But I've taken engines apart where, well, it's kind of, that whole thing is kind of rusty, but like as far as scoring and smoke, pumping smoke out, which is oil getting past the rings. That oil ring doesn't have much spring to it. It doesn't seem like it's doing very much, but I don't know. That might, gee, yeah. First day with this mouth. That might be just the amount of tension that it had on it, or it's just, or the oil rings just wore out. Let's see if we can pick one of them off of there. See how much there is for depth. Not much. I wonder if that oil ring is gone. Off chance we're going to put it back together. I don't want to thrash it. So there's like an upper and a lower. And then there's the spring in the center is like the spreader. Where's that one? There it is. Come on. Don't get all funky on me. It's like a piece of paper, it's so thin. It's got a bunch of staining on it, huh? Black crud coming out of that. Yeah, let's get the that a hunk of metal right there. What's that? That's a little piece of metal right there. I'm gonna go take some brake cleaner. I'm gonna go rinse this off. We'll take a peek. Yeah, that's a little better. Looking to see if I see those chatter marks that I saw. Yeah, I think it's. I don't see him. It must have been just like oil or something that was on it that was making like a weird pattern. But it definitely is chewed up as far as the piston, but not terrible. And so I think what we saw that with that little piece of aluminum was just a piece of the skirt blowing apart. You can see where it's going right there. Looks like it was binding on the cylinder wall there. Same with up there. The little pieces of aluminum were coming out. So the metal that we saw was probably this stuff right here, starting to go away. So I think maybe it just sat for a long time. Maybe we got water in it, would be my guess. It had water in it, and as we were running it, it started to just chew itself up, and then it just started blowing by, and then, you know, that's where the smoke was coming from, because the oil was passing right through it right there. Still, the noise has me a little perplexed. Like, why would it make that knocky sound? Let's we're gonna bolt the rod back up to the crank. You guys gotta stop seeing this so close. We're bumping into each other. Let's go throw the bolts back in the cap in there. We'll see how much play we got in there. So I was trying to figure out what would cause those two marks. Like, you could literally drag and catch a nail on them all the way up. It's really bad right there. The only thing so I lined the piston up to how that would have been orientated in the bore, and it has like those two lines right there, that one and that one, line up with it. Again, the rings have rotated on me, so I don't know if we could find anything on that. My guess is something got stuck between the two rings and was bouncing back and forth, and maybe made a little bit of noise. Each time it changed direction, it kind of shifted up and down. That's the only thing I see so far. But, you know, it kind of looks out of the ordinary. Yeah, other than the bore looking like shit from the corrosion. That's what I'm looking at. See it? There you go. Kind of a good way to light it up now. Big scratches right there. So stuck it all in the vise, so you can kind of give it a feel. I don't feel anything. I don't think that feels about normal for me for play. Side to side is fine. Maybe a hair on the sloppy side. You would use a what's called a plastic gauge. You would bolt it together and run it down. The plastic gauge will squeeze out, and you measure it. It'll tell you how much clearance you have in between there. I'm not seeing anything. Well, then I see those little scratches that were in there. That weird kind of pattern. Well, it was knocking. I don't know. I don't know. Well, guys, having said that, welcome to listen to your opinions. If anything I missed, anything you see that I did not see, just check. That's a little noisy. Feel free to speak up. That's kind of noisy. It's not made very precisely now, is it? Now it's quieter. Where's the camshaft? The only thing I see that we talked about was that weird rub mark on that decompression lever. And that may even be normal, but I don't know. Well, guys, I had a few minutes to kind of like diagnose and look over things and spin bearings and try to see if I could find anything that would cause any other kind of noises that would be unsuspecting. And I am just not seeing anything. I don't know. The only thing I saw was on that cam, that decompression lobe with that weird kind of like wear mark on it, on the edge. Other than that, you know, possibly that thing was going around tinking on something that it shouldn't have been. I don't know what that would have been though. Would that come good? The tip, you know, the crankshaft. A little more investigation. One thing that we did see, I forgot to go look back at, was one of the push rods was hitting, causing that line to go around it. And the only thing that lines up with is, I don't know if that's a keeper, like what the purpose of this plate is for. But I wonder if, so what side was that on? It was on the exhaust side, which is that side, right? Wrong. So this is the exhaust side. That making contact with the stroke on there. You can definitely see it was hitting. So here's my thought. Why don't we throw a hone in there? We'll kind of take a look at that bore. The hone will show like where all the highs and lows are. You can see all the pitting and the damage that's on that bore now. Kind of looks, actually looks worse from the other side. The camera picks it up. You're looking inside there. You're seeing the damage that has been done to those walls. For whatever reason it caused that. Let's go throw the hone through there. We'll see what it looks like, and maybe go from there. My thought is maybe quick and dirty. We'll throw it back together and see if the noise is still there. If we can kind of identify anything. Just curiosity is getting me. All right, go throw the hone through there. A little bit of oil. Alright, let's see what we got. You could definitely see where all the... That looks like metal actually like folded over on itself right there. Right where those heavy scratches were. Less light. Yeah, she's pretty hammered. Top of it. The top of the bore. That's pretty ugly. Yeah, definitely. My guess is maybe it had a bunch of rust in it or something at one point, and then it just got fired up and it's kind of maybe chewed itself up. But still, that the knocking sound has got me a little on the curious part. All right, so I'm gonna go take some time. Probably gonna go quickly through it. Not gonna film all the little bits of it, and we'll get her knocked out, put back together. The only thing intricate I'm going to show is putting a cam and a counterbalance shaft in it. So there's a set of dots, one right there and one on the cam. So the lifter's already in. We're going to go try to line them up. Not even close. That it? That's that one. Then we got the counterbalance shaft, which is over here. And then the other gear has another mark on it. And we're going to do our best to go line them up. Because this weight counterbalances that weight, essentially. A little bit more detail than that, but takes some of the vibration out. So we're going to go line those dots up. Off a tooth. There you go. Now those are lined up. I'm going to leave this out. Probably going to punch this right out of here. This, when you over rev an engine, generally what happens is this plastic gear and the weights, it's too much velocity up. This blows apart. Then all these pieces go around and take out the rest of the engine. So on an ungoverned engine, that's probably the best thing to remove. So I'll take the center of that out, the clip out, and continue to reassemble that. I don't know how much more, like I said, I'm going to show you. I'm going to kind of try to knock this out. And it's like third oil change. Alright, all kind of set to fire it up. You got an operating choke. This is the throttle. And I just have it spring loaded to idle for obvious reasons. Let it rev away. We don't have a kill switch. Let's go run the stop screw in a little bit. It's a little on the higher side. We can kind of back it off. But that should help us get it going. We have a fuel line connected to the side, which I have fed. And I have another feed bottle down behind to kind of keep her going. Anything else? I just don't have the air box off. So I have the original carburetor, original muffler on it just for noise canceling reasons, filled with oil. I think we are good to go. Let's kind of back you up and give her a fire, see what she does. Oh, just to include, here's the governor totally removed from it. Pretty much just took a punch, punched it out of the side cover, and then took some silicone and filled the hole that was in the block. Let's see what we get. Quiet. You can rev it up. I'm going to put you back in the stand. I was trying, the carb must be on the dirty side because it doesn't want to run without the choke on it. But that's okay. We're just trying to see what the engine's doing. So far, it's quiet. Let's do a refill. Yeah, it's got no idle circuit. That's all right. Don't grab that. The bench is rattling a little bit, but I don't hear any knocking in the engine, and it didn't smoke. Just got for blow by. Not terrible. That means geez. Got me. We're gonna let it run till it runs out of fuel. I'm gonna gather my thoughts. So I'm perplexed. I don't know if I missed something. Like I said, the only things that are really different, but it was doing it before too. And we put the same components on the other engine and it doesn't do it, which is going to be the air cleaner. I mean the exhaust and the carburetor setup that we have on this engine. But this engine made no noise with those two pieces. So that's the only thing I can see that being a little different between the two of them. And that we have the governor system ripped out of it. And the smoke and the noise is not there. I don't know if something was out of whack and got put back together correctly when it put back together. I didn't see anything. I don't know if I missed it in video. I don't know. You guys may have seen it when sometimes the camera picks up things that I don't pick up. I didn't put any sealant or any of the gaskets or anything. I just literally bolted everything to back together. I didn't even torque the cylinder head down or nothing. Just kind of ran it down with the the impact lightly. But seeing what that bore looked like on the inside, its longevity is kind of questionable. But I think we're going to go continue with the engine that we have on there. We got that was a new carburetor, but that carburetor's got issues to it. So we'll reconvene on this project by itself. But the engine was just something that was really had me, it still has me kind of perplexed to what happened to it. If you saw something in the video or something that I missed, or I don't know. And this engine was actually kind of noisy. I think before we even changed some of the components on it, I think it was already a little noisy and it was getting louder as it ran. The only thing we did see was that little mark on the push rod that kind of went around. Possibly that was tinking on it. When I put it back together, maybe that push rod was not interfering with that plate anymore. Let's pop that valve cover off real quick.
grab a light.
Not sure what we're gonna get you in there. I think I think of like, because this plate we ended up getting loose, and this is the push rod underneath it. If that gap of the push rod was showing this one on the intake, but I think it was the exhaust that was touching. You know, when it's moving, possibly the push rod was making contact with that plate and making a noise, and we took it apart and put it back together. It decided not to do that. That's the only thing I see. Other than that, it's a mystery. Alright guys, I'm going to go sign off. Thanks for hanging out with me, having a little bit of fun, and you know, just playing with old junk and see what makes it tick. And literally tick. Till then, I'll see you later. Gotta rev her up a little bit.